The presidency is insisting that Ibrahim Magu will remain the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, despite the refusal of the Senate to confirm his nomination 2 times.
The presidency's decision is premised on the dictates of Section 171 of the 1999 Constitution, which states, quote, "The appointment to the office of ambassador, high commissioner, or other principal representative of Nigeria abroad shall not have effect unless the appointment is confirmed by the Senate."
But that section also has an addendum to it, which clearly states that the power to appoint persons to hold or act in the offices to which this section applies and to remove persons so appointed from any such office shall vest in the president. Now, key areas to note: the appointment to the office of ambassador, high commissioner, or other principal representative of Nigeria abroad. On the contrary, the EFCC Act stipulates that the chairman and members of the commission, other than ex officio members, shall be appointed by the president, subject to the confirmation of the Senate.
In all of this, however, some lawyers have argued that the EFCC Act is inferior to the Constitution, talking about Section 2 of the EFCC Act that says the EFCC chairman must be confirmed by the Senate. Yes,
but the Constitution, of course, is the ground norm, and that takes precedence over every other act. Well, joining us now is a lawyer, Uju Okeke. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now that we've laid the background to this, the presidency says the DSS report on Magu, the indictment, is not strong enough to withdraw Magu's nomination. There's been a back and forth. Some are saying, why not Magu? Others are saying, we insist on Magu. But of course, this 14-paragraph indictment is there, and it seems we're not really looking at what the DSS is saying about Magu. What's your take on this?
Well, I want to start with, there's something you said about Section 171. 171. Yeah. That is not the issue. Lots of people misunderstand the issue. The issue is Section 4 of the Constitution. It is not even about Section 2 of the EFCC Act. Let's look at, like we said, Section 1 of the Constitution says that the Constitution is grown law. Yeah. And then you talk about Sections 4, 5, 6 that talks about separation of powers. Section 4 talks about the legislative powers, Section 5 executive powers, and Section 6 judiciary powers. And then Section 4 says that the National Assembly, they have the right to make laws. And then if you go to Section 153, that's Section 153 down to up to 171, it talks about certain federal executive bodies. In other words, EFCC is not mentioned in the Constitution. But then by Section 4, it is one of those, the National Assembly has power to make laws.
But is the EFCC a federal executive body in this case?
Whether it's a federal executive, like we said, it is not strictly mentioned. Section 153 says certain. That's what the Constitution says, certain federal executive bodies. So now that takes us back to Section 4. The question is, does the National Assembly have the right to make the EFCC Act? That is the question people are not answering.
But doesn't the fact that the presidency actually gives the legislature that right, is that not where...
It is not the presidency.
The president was not bound to ask the legislature, in this case the Senate, to confirm Magu.
No.
But he did.
No.
He gave them the power.
He has to. Section 4, that's what I'm saying. Let's go back to Section 4.
Please.
Okay.
Let's go back to Section 4.
What does it say specifically?
Section 4 talks about the powers of the legislative powers is on National Assembly. What does that power mean? The power to make laws on the peace, order, and good government within their legislative competence. In other words, the matters concerned is it within the exclusive legislative list. If you look at the matters under EFCC, it is within the exclusive legislative list. In other words, they have the right to go and make that law outside of Section 153, outside of Section 171. And now they made that law.
Yeah, but they would say 153 has the confirmation, those, 153 now is talking about the ones that are mentioned. But if you go by the law of interpretation, they will say what the law doesn't say is silent.
Remember, that's what I'm saying. There's a point people are missing.
Which is?
Which is by Section 4, do they have the powers to make that law? No, wait.
Making the law, is it the same as what we're saying here?
Yes,
that is EFCC chairman or acting chairman being confirmed by the Senate?
Yes, that is the bottom line. Because now that they made that law, And if you look at Section 5 says that the executive, which is the president, is bound, is mandated to maintain the constitution and the laws, all the laws made by the National Assembly. That is what the constitution says.
Okay, you know what, before we continue with this discussion, let's take reactions from Nigerians out there in Abuja, Oyo, and of course, Kano State.
The question I want to answer now is Magu doing very well or very badly? So if he's doing well, why would the Senate reject him in the first place? So the presidency actually nominated Magu for this job. So as far as I'm concerned, I think the man is doing a good job. I think that is what the presidency is also thinking.
I think the president is very right. Basically, with what is going around now, you see money have been recovering on a daily basis. You see money discovered in airports and so many other places. I think that Magu is doing a good job for me. He should be there. I'm in support of the president.
The resending of Magu's name by Mr. President is in the right direction. I can assure you that most Nigerians who are willing that Mr. President should fight corruption to its standstill are solely behind him. It is a process whereby truth will triumph against evil. His rejection by the Senate is an indication that there must be some persons within the Senate that may not want him to be confirmed, so that corruption will be put to a standstill in Nigeria.
As far as the issue of Magu's confirmation in the Senate is concerned, it's most expedient for the lawmakers at the upper chamber of the National Assembly to look into the issue with some degree of circumspection, because this is a man considered by the president to be upright, morally upright. He is honest, a man of proven integrity. And the war on corruption he is fighting knows no bound.
We are bringing politics in all things. You understand? Now, when somebody, DSS has written to the House about Magu, that this man, he has a case to be answered. And then it should answer, you see, it should be go answer there.
I think the president have to retain Ibrahim Magu as EFCC's chairman, because if we should look at Ibrahim Magu antecedent, since he has assumed that office, you will see that the man has been performing excellently.
All right. Quite a lot of issues there. Uju, our lawyer in the studio, is very much with us now. But let's stay with, you were making a point with this section 171. But I'd like to turn your attention to subsection 2 of that section that listed the offices or the department and the parastatals involved. And you have, of course, the permanent secretary, ministry, or head of any extra ministerial department of the government of the federation, whosoever designated. Many people will argue that the EFCC falls under this purview. Then if you go to what the Supreme Court says in 2003, talking about INEC versus Musa, the supremacy of the Constitution, as it were, over the laws made by the National Assembly. How do you just oppose that?
Exactly. Don't forget that even the almighty Constitution can only be amended by the National Assembly itself. Don't forget that. You see, what I'm trying to say is that people are asking the wrong questions. That's why they are getting the wrong answers.
What should people be asking?
The question is not Section 171 at all. It has nothing to do with it. In fact, even if you look at Section 153 and Section 154, Section 154 names some, like National Judicial Council, that's whether you should get a confirmation from the Senate or not. The Constitution mentions some, but there are some. That's why I said that Section 153 says certain federal executive bodies. So in other words, the Constitution is not holistic. It did not mention every other body. That means by Section 4. It allows National Assembly the powers to make laws on these other bodies. And now, like I said, that Section 5 mandates the executive. It is mandatory to maintain the Constitution and any other law made by the National Assembly in compliance once it's within their powers. And now the question is, the EFCC Act, is it within the powers of the National Assembly? If you look at the list, on the 68th list, under the exclusive legislative list, it said that the EFCC, matters within the EFCC Act, is within the powers of the National Assembly. Now that they've made this law by Section 5, the President is mandated to implement it.
Some senators have,
so
have
what
said,
you're
sorry,
saying, what you're saying in essence is that the Senate has a right to reject Magu. Am I getting you correctly?
Obviously. And in fact, if you look at the EFCC Act, there's even no position for acting chairman. In other words, what the president is doing is actually contrary to the Constitution. And then look, if you go to section 143, it's an impeachable offense.
Fine.
Which Senator Okoromo has said.
Yes, really. So do you see that playing out anytime soon?
Well, I think for me in Nigeria, I think we are playing unnecessary politics. Magu isn't the only person in Nigeria. You know,
let's look at the DSS report now.
Exactly.
And bring it home.
Indeed.
From
we
what
want to
we
itemize
have,
them as much as we can.
As we can. And based on, of course, the Constitution, they report to the presidency. And based on their mandate, they have the mandate to, some instrumentality empowers them to advise the president on issues of security matters, even economic and some corruption matter. I was saying their advice are no longer necessary if the president can jettison their fears in this matter.
Maybe we should, shed more light on this. One of the issues here that the action of Ibrahim Magu, and this was under when he was in the EFCC under Waziri. Action prejudicial to state security, sabotage, including acts unbecoming of a police officer. Of course, that led to his suspension. That Magu lives in a rented apartment of 20 million naira per annum, not paid from EFCC's finances, but by one Umar Mohammed, a questionable character of a businessman. So many issues.
So what do you make of that?
And the presidency insists that it is discountenancing this DSS report. The insistence by the presidency that Magu is the man for the job at the EFCC helm of affairs. Our guest right here is Uju Peace Okeke. She's a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. Now, the DSS sent this 14-paragraph letter indicting Magu, putting a big question mark on his integrity. As far as the DSS is concerned, he has failed the integrity test. But this government says, no, Magu must remain as the EFCC chairman. What kind of precedents? Do you have any concerns that we may be setting a wrong precedent here?
It's not just a bad precedent, it's a very terrible precedent. In other words, because right now, the executive seems to be rubbishing the DSS. The question is, will the same executive trust the DSS with other reports tomorrow? That's the question. And then, the next question is, the executive is also trying to destroy the principle of separation of powers. I mean, if DSS has a report on Magu that says he has failed the integrity test, and then the Senate has refused to confirm him, why is the executive insisting on renominating him?
The presidency seemed to have indicted the DSS to an extent, and the VP said that Magu explained, he gave explanation, and the president was satisfied with the explanation. That brings to the fore the issue of fair hearing. Was Magu invited in the first instance? And like the judges that we had taken to court, were they even invited? Section 36, of course, is very clear on that. Was that the case with the DSS and Magu and some other judges?
Exactly. You see, that's why a lot of Nigerians are saying that there is double standard. And we choose to believe them because that's what is playing out. There is double standard. With Magu now, there's no fair hearing. But with the judges, there was fair hearing. They took them straight to court, and then of course, we saw the outcome of the cases. What I'm trying to say is that the presidency, the executive should not set this precedent. It will not augur well.
Okay, it will not augur well. That's time to bring in Foladele. Let's find out what's going on from the other end of the spectrum. We've heard Nigerians on the streets. What are they saying on social media?
Nigerians talking here. The most popular man right now.
The most popular man right now, to be very honest. Let's see what people are saying online. And they're saying a lot, I tell you. Rebecca Roberts says, if Magu is the only person out of 170 million plus Nigerians that can fight Buhari's corruption with Buhari, then Nigeria is in serious trouble. Dio says, glad President Buhari is sticking by Magu. Best news today, to be honest. Kingsley Agbokade says, it's embarrassing to the government that the senators have twice refused to confirm Magu. Buhari should put his house in order. GIM Wadileke says, President Buhari cannot force us to accept questionable Magu. If #EFCC like, they should discover billions of dollars in the belly of a cow. Dr. Fatima Zuntu says, Magu is the best thing that has ever happened to Nigeria. Okay. And the last one from Comer Toba Ben says, whenever Ibrahim Magu wants to impress Buhari, the AFCC will suddenly discover dollars at an airport or Ikoyi, yet he can't win a case in court. Uju, what do you think? Someone here is implying that, you know, all these monies being discovered right now, is it also coincidental, or is Magu trying to prove something? What do you think?
Exactly. I think that we are just being too sentimental, because many times we try cases in the press, but by the time they get to court, they follow like a pack of cards because there's no evidence. So I have issue with it, because many times it is that EFCC shouldn't be talking about that, blasting it in the press, but by the time it gets to court, you find out that they never had evidence. So I think there's a problem with it.
All right.
But no, sorry. I'm sorry, Ngozi, but do you think, but I really wanted this particular tweet, this person is implying that EFCC is working extra hard right now to discover monies. Then they're trying to imply, I think, that is Magu trying to impress us? Is he trying to show that, look, I'm the man for this job? Or is it also coincidental that all the monies being discovered right now are happening around the same time that it needs to get confirmed?
Well, there's something we say in law. Even the devil himself does not know the thought of any man. But the truth is, going by the happenings, what else you want us to believe?
All right.
Okay,
we'll have to leave it there. As always, Fola, thank you so much. And of course, Uju Peace Okeke, a lawyer, public affairs analyst, thank you so much for your time on the show.
Thank you for bringing a fresh perspective to it, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.